What just happened to the Philadelphia Eagles? A team built on pride, power, and history, just humiliated under the Thursday night lights. The world watched as the Eagles didn't just lose, they fell apart. This wasn't just a bad game. This was a moment that made fans question everything about who this team really is. What was that? On national television, in front of millions, the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that once struck fear into opponents, looked broken. Thursday night football turned into Thursday night shame. This wasn't just a loss. This was a beating. A 34-17 embarrassment that felt like a punch to the gut for every fan wearing midnight green. The same franchise that soared to a Super Bowl just a short time ago suddenly looked like a team with no heart, no rhythm, and no fight. Yes, Jalen Carter was sidelined with a heel injury. Quinn Mitchell went down early with a hamstring. But let's be honest, the offense had no excuses. Jalen Hurts was healthy. A.J. Brown was healthy. Devonta Smith was healthy. Lane Johnson was healthy. Every major weapon was there, yet the Eagles put up the same lifeless 17 points they scored a week ago. And what makes this worse, they didn't just lose. They got bullied. They got pushed around by a New York Giants team that most analysts had already written off. A Giants team that came into this game with chaos swirling around their coach and GM. A Giants team that looked desperate to survive. But desperation beat dominance. The Giants played like a team fighting for its life. The Eagles played like a team hoping the clock would just run out. Cam Skattebo ran through them like a storm. The Eagles' defense looked soft, uninspired, and tired. The offensive line, usually the pride of this team, got manhandled. The wideouts looked frustrated. And Jalen Hurts, once calm and composed, seemed lost behind an offense that still can't find its identity 6 weeks into the season. This is not the same Philadelphia Eagles that built their name on grit and toughness. This team feels hollow. 6 weeks in, and they still don't know who they are. Last year, by this time, they had found their rhythm, they had become unstoppable. This year? They look confused, exhausted, and disconnected. And here's the truth no one wants to admit, this isn't about one bad game. This is about a team that's losing its soul. Nick Sirianni's Eagles have always been known for discipline, toughness, and energy. But right now, they look like a team without a heartbeat. And if they don't find it soon, the season that started with Super Bowl dreams could spiral into something far darker. Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. Is this just one bad loss, or are we witnessing the start of something worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments, rate your confidence in this team from 1 to 10. This was supposed to be a team built on toughness, on heart, hustle, and fundamentals. But on Thursday night, none of that showed up. The Philadelphia Eagles, a team that once prided itself on grit, looked like a shadow of who they used to be. So now the question becomes, where do they go from here? Because this isn't just about a bad night. It's about cracks forming in the foundation of a franchise that was built to chase another Super Bowl. And for the first time, fans are asking, did Howie Roseman fail this version of the Eagles? On paper, the talent is there. A loaded roster. Championship experience. Leaders in every room. But the off-season decisions, or rather, the lack of them, might be coming back to haunt this team. Philadelphia had opportunities. They could have re-signed Isaiah Rodgers, a proven corner who's now thriving in Minnesota, locking down receivers every week. Instead, the Eagles are struggling at cornerback, with Adoree Jackson and Khalil Ringo looking overmatched, out of sync, and lost in coverage. They could have gone after Mekhi Becton, who's now protecting Justin Herbert in Los Angeles on a deal the Eagles could have easily matched. Imagine him anchoring this offensive line that's been getting bullied up front. Instead, Hurts has been under constant fire, and the offense can barely stay on the field. And the edge rusher problem? It's impossible to ignore. Letting Josh Sweat walk, with no real replacement, left a massive hole in this defense. Outside of Zadarius Smith's 1.5 sacks, the edge production has completely dried up. Teams aren't afraid of the Eagles' pass rush anymore. Then there's the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade, a move that still doesn't make sense. They gave up a player who embodied everything this team used to stand for: passion, swagger, energy. CJ was the emotional engine of that defense, the spark that fired everyone up. Now, that spark is gone. And the entire defense looks like it's sleepwalking. But maybe the biggest problem of all is on offense. Offensive coordinator Kevin Poulo, the man tasked with leading this unit, just doesn't seem to have the answers. The Eagles' offense, once creative and explosive, now feels predictable and lifeless. Defenders know what's coming before the snap. You can see it on the field: no rhythm, no urgency, no plan. And the numbers don't lie. Over their last 3 games, this is what the Eagles have produced in the second half: fumbles, interceptions, 3-and-outs. Drive after drive dying before it even begins. There's no adjustment. No spark. No fight. This is an offense that's disappeared into thin air. When protection holds, receivers aren't open. When receivers do break open, Hurts doesn't have time to throw. It's chaos disguised as football. And it's painful to watch. Because this isn't about talent anymore. It's about leadership. It's about identity. And right now, the Philadelphia Eagles don't have either. Eagles fans, be honest. Is this on the players, or did Howie Roseman and the front office fail to build a roster built for another run? Drop your thoughts below. Who deserves the blame for what we're watching unfold? So now the question becomes, what's the answer? The Philadelphia Eagles are standing at a crossroads, and the road ahead looks rough. Kevin Poulo's offense has hit rock bottom, and whispers are already spreading: will Scott Lafleur take over? Lafleur, the former quarterback's coach, has a small resume as a play caller, flashes of success at Bowling Green, creative wrinkles, a few moments of promise. But this? This is the NFL. This is Philadelphia. This is pressure on a different level. And the truth is, mid-season coordinator changes rarely work. They're desperate moves, panic buttons disguised as solutions. Bringing someone up from within the building buys time, but it doesn't fix the heart of the problem. Outside options? Forget it. You're not pulling an offensive mastermind off the street in October. John Gruden? No chance. There's no savior waiting to walk through that door. The Eagles have to figure this out themselves. And they better do it fast. Because next week, they walk into Minnesota. One of the loudest, most hostile environments in football. And standing across from them? Brian Flores, a defensive genius who lives for chaos. Blitzes from every angle. Disguised coverages. Confusion from snap to whistle. If this offense doesn't wake up soon, it could get ugly. Sure, the Eagles are still 4-2. But you can feel it slipping. The rhythm, the belief, the fear they used to inspire, it's fading. And in 2 weeks, this team could be sitting at 4-3, losers of 3 straight, searching for answers that don't exist. Think about this: this is the first time Philadelphia's lost back-to-back games since 2023. That season ended in disaster, a limp finale against the Giants, followed by a soul-crushing playoff loss to Tampa Bay. It feels like déjà vu. And tonight, they didn't just lose. They got bullied. The Giants, a team with nothing to lose, punched them in the mouth. And the Eagles never punched back. This was supposed to be the get-right game. The rebound. The night they reminded the league who they were. Instead, it was a collapse, a complete unraveling of everything that once made this team great. The defense couldn't tackle. The secondary broke down again and again. The pressure vanished. The rookies looked overwhelmed. They couldn't stop Kemskadaba, a rookie running back who ran through them like they were a JV squad. He didn't just score, he humiliated them. And the mistakes, they piled up like wreckage. Fumbles. Miscommunication. Turnovers. Tank Bigsby benched. A.J. Dillon comes in, fumbles twice. Hurts throws an interception that nearly becomes a pick-six. And by the end, the Eagles didn't even look like they wanted to be there. Jalen Carter? Out. Quinn Mitchell? Hurt early. But that's not an excuse. Because this team, this roster, was supposed to be deep. They were supposed to survive games like this. Instead, they folded. They looked uninspired. Lifeless. And for a Nick Sirianni team, that's the most alarming part of all. Sirianni's not a schematic genius. His strength has always been energy, emotion, belief. But when even that disappears, what's left? Right now, the Eagles don't just look beaten. They look lost. Eagles fans, be real for a second. Has this team lost its fire? Is Nick Sirianni still the leader who can rally this locker room? Or are we watching a contender crumble before our eyes? Let me know your thoughts below, because something has to change. The Eagles can't sustain the run game. Saquon Barkley actually looked solid early on, breaking off a couple of big carries to start the night, one for 18 yards, another for 13. For a moment, it felt like the ground game was finally back. But just as quickly as it started, the drive stalled. Barkley finished with 12 carries for 58 yards, averaging 4.8 per carry, not bad, but not enough to control the game. Once the Eagles fell behind, they had no choice but to abandon the run and rely on the passing attack. That's when everything started to unravel. The offensive line struggled to protect the quarterback. Even on the few plays when protection held up, receivers couldn't separate downfield. The timing, the rhythm, the chemistry, it just wasn't there. The offense looked out of sync, and as the pressure mounted, mistakes followed. Drives died in silence, and every possession felt heavier than the last. There were flashes, brief, electric glimpses, of what this offense could be. For a moment, it felt alive. Dallas Goedert found the end zone again, making it 4 straight games with a touchdown. A.J. Brown battled for every yard, finishing with 6 catches for 80. Devonta Smith kept grinding, pulling in 4 for 49. The pieces were there. The spark was there. But then came the throw. A moment every fan in the stadium will remember, and not for the right reasons. Jalen Hurts saw Devonta streaking down the sideline, wide open. 89 yards of green grass ahead, the kind of play that changes everything. But the ball sailed, just a little too far. Missed it. And with that one overthrow, the entire game shifted. Momentum is a fragile thing in football. The Eagles punted, the Giants took the ball, drove straight down the field, and scored. The air went out of the team. Out of the stadium. Out of Philadelphia's heart. Even when the Eagles tried to fight back late, desperation turned into disaster. A red zone drive, and then an interception. Picked off by Flott. That was the dagger. 3rd downs? A nightmare. 1 for 9. That's not just execution, that's breakdowns in coaching, play design, and trust. Meanwhile, the Giants, led by a rookie quarterback, went 11 of 16 on 3rd down. 11 of 16. The kind of stat that tells you everything about a team's focus and effort. And it wasn't just 3rd downs. The defense got bullied again. The Giants ran for 172 yards, another week, another beating on the ground. The same story that's been haunting the Eagles all season long. Missed tackles, no push up front, no pride on defense. This wasn't just a loss. It was a collapse. And for Philadelphia fans, it stung even worse because this city's been through enough heartbreak lately. The Phillies' postseason collapse still fresh in everyone's minds, and now this? The Eagles walked out onto that field and played like a team running on fumes. No discipline. No energy. No edge. Penalties, blown coverages, lifeless body language. It looked like a group completely out of sync, mentally and emotionally. You could feel it in every snap, the weight of last year's disappointment still hanging over them. This isn't the hungry, relentless team fans fell in love with. This feels like a group that's lost its fire. And until someone in that locker room stands up and reignites it, this season will keep spiraling. One word to describe it all: embarrassing.